Birmingham, 2:14 p.m. An utterly ordinary Tuesday afternoon became something that no one in Britain could have foreseen. In an instant, the city erupted. Not from war, not from terrorism, but from a chain reaction set off by tension that had been ignored for months. A refugee facility became the epicenter of chaos. Fire burned in daylight. 5 metro stations shut down, and thousands were stuck underground. While the government said nothing, not a word. Stick with me, because what actually happened in Birmingham is not what mainstream news is showing, and if you want to understand the real situation unfolding in Britain right now, make sure you hit subscribe, because this story goes far deeper than the viral clips online. The explosion at the Holley refugee facility wasn't the beginning, it was the moment everything snapped. For months Birmingham had been simmering quietly, complaints ignored, communities talking past each other, issues left unresolved. The Midlands, lauded for diversity, showed signs of strain, but nobody wanted to notice. Then at 1:40 p.m., everything changed with one unverified telegram message. It read, "Refugee group attacked locals near Holley facility." No evidence, no source, no context, just 9 words, and in minutes, they spread like wildfire. 20 minutes later, hundreds had assembled outside the facility. By 2 p.m. that number swelled above 1,000. Police tried to respond, but nearly 40 patrol vehicles were stuck in gridlocked traffic across the city. Officers who arrived on foot were outnumbered the moment they got there. Outside the facility, at 2:14 p.m., the pressure from the crowd buckled metal barriers. People surged forward, some fell. Others tried to pull back, then someone set trash bins on fire across multiple blocks. Thick black smoke climbed into the sky. Instantly, phones appeared. Streams flooded into TikTok, X, and Facebook in minutes. "Birmingham is burning" was trending worldwide. But the videos captured only fragments. They didn't show the full story playing out on the ground. By 2:26 p.m., the situation escalated. Shouting turned to physical clashes. Police shields buckled in under the crowd's weight. Backup couldn't get in because of closed roads and abandoned cars. Under the Aston Expressway, 3 groups collided by accident. A hardline anti-immigration group, angry locals, who believed the rumor, and a masked group in black carrying improvised shields. There was no conversation, no warning. Metal pipes hit shields, stones flew. A flare lit up the underpass with an eerie red glow. Drivers overhead slowed and filmed everything. Those videos spread too. At 2:41 p.m., a white delivery lorry, trying to reverse away from the mayhem, clipped a divider and tipped onto its side. Steam burst into the air. Someone screamed bomb. Panic erupted in an instant. People ran in every direction. Barriers fell. Families were pushed aside. Cyclists crashed. There was no bomb, but panic doesn't wait for facts. By 3 p.m., Birmingham had fractured into several zones of crisis. The Snow Hill, Bull Street, New Street, Corporation Street, and Fiveways metro stations all closed. Thousands were trapped underground. When they finally exited the metro from emergency exits, they found the streets already packed with panicked crowds. Cars were abandoned mid-road. Buses blocked intersections. Delivery vans sat open with their engines running. Drivers reversed down one-way streets trying to escape from anything that looked like danger. With no official information, people relied on social media, where truth disappears fast. One false posting that claimed the refugees were marching towards the city center was shared 40,000 times in 15 minutes. It was completely untrue, but thousands believed it. Riot police finally arrived on foot at 2:55 p.m., but far from restoring order, their arrival caused further confusion. Some thought police were preparing to charge, others thought they were withdrawing. Every gesture was misinterpreted. At 3:04 p.m., police-approved contain and hold tactics, deployed only when a crowd becomes completely uncontrollable, but containment was already impossible. Half the people didn't even know what they were running from. Then the drone incident happened. A hobby drone that had been filming from above was hit by a thrown bottle crashing onto a parked car, breaking apart in flames. Someone shouted, "They're attacking us from above." And new rumors started spreading in an instant. Armed groups were approaching. Refugees were breaking out of facilities. Far-right groups were planning attacks. None of it was true, but fiction traveled faster than fact. By 3:20 p.m. Birmingham wasn't facing a protest anymore. it was facing a complete breakdown in communication, trust, and order. And through it all, one question reverberated across livestreams and the streets: where is the government? Westminster said nothing. The emergency meeting did not start until 4:10 p.m., almost 2 hours after the explosion. In that time, millions had already viewed the mayhem online. Within it, ministers were arguing, deploy the military or avoid escalation. As they did so, Birmingham continued to unravel. At 4:20 p.m., a confidential memo went online titled, Operation Hold Line. It read, "Do not intervene unless major casualties confirmed." In minutes, it went viral. Finally, the spokesperson of the Prime Minister came out and spoke only to say, "We are monitoring the situation." To the public, monitoring sounded the same as doing nothing. People across Britain believed that Birmingham had been abandoned. But here is what didn't make the viral clips. Moments of humanity. By 4:32 p.m., an abandoned bus became a refuge. Locals and refugees worked together to pull people inside to safety. A man tore off his jacket to cover a coughing child. Under the Aston Expressway, where violence had raged for hours, a police officer collapsed after being hit by debris. Before other officers could reach him, a refugee teenager dragged him to safety using his bare arms. Across the city, shopkeepers opened their stores to shelter fleeing people. One bakery passed out water. A refugee family took strangers into their small flat above a store. Even as the city seemed to fall apart, people still looked out for one another. When institutions fail, humanity doesn't always fail with them. So, what was really the cause of all that? Birmingham didn't fall apart because of refugees or locals. It collapsed because of silence, tensions ignored, rumors unaddressed, leaders choosing to say nothing instead of saying something clear. But silence isn't neutral. Silence creates a vacuum, and chaos fills it. And when that silence is extended, it leaves empty space for fear, suspicion, and false information to develop unchecked. The 5 metro stations didn't shut down because of an incident, but they did shut down because thousands of people stopped trusting the system to protect them. The crowd outside this facility didn't surge because they wanted violence. They surged because nobody gave them clarity, and when people don't get answers, they assume the worst. Birmingham didn't unravel because its people were dangerous. It unraveled because its people were afraid. And fear, when it is left to build without explanation or reassurance, becomes a kind of explosion on its own. This wasn't just a crisis. This was a warning that communities divided for too long can flare up in seconds. Chaos does not hide in the dark. Sometimes it bursts into broad daylight, where every failure is impossible to look away from. This was a warning that when leadership goes silent, people will search for answers anywhere they can find them, even if that means believing rumors over reality. So, the real question isn't about what happened on that Tuesday. The real question is what now happens. Will the government step forward, speak clearly, and begin to restore trust, or will silence remain the loudest thing Britain hears? Birmingham burned for 2 hours before Westminster spoke a word. How long would your city last before someone in power finally responded? We want to hear from you in the comments. What do you think Britain needs to do next? Share this with someone who needs to know what actually happened, because mainstream outlets have already moved on. And if you want to stay aware of the truth behind events like this, if you want to understand what's really happening across Britain, make sure you subscribe, because this story is far from over.